Imagine standing at the base of a mountain. You look up, and the peak disappears into the clouds. You've been told your entire life that you need to climb it, that success, happiness, and peace are waiting for you at the top. So you start walking, but with every step forward, something pulls you back. You stumble, you fall, you turn around and walk in the opposite direction. And then one day, you realize something that changes everything. The mountain isn't out there. The mountain is you. You are the obstacle. You are the journey. And you are the summit. This is the truth that Brianna Wiest reveals in her transformative book, a guide not just to self-help, but to self-mastery. You're watching the book Sanctuary. Brianna Wiest is not your typical self-help author. She doesn't offer quick fixes or empty motivation. Instead, she digs deep into the human psyche, into the patterns we repeat without realizing, into the fears we carry like stones in our pockets. The mountain is you, is her invitation to stop running from yourself and start climbing toward the person you were always meant to be. This book is about self-sabotage, but not in the way you might think. It's not about laziness or weakness. It's about protection. It's about the unconscious ways we hold ourselves back because somewhere, deep down, we believe we're not ready, not worthy, or not safe. And Wiest shows us that the only way out is through the pain, through the fear, through the mountain. In the next hour, you'll journey through 7 powerful chapters. You'll learn why you sabotage your own success, how your emotions are guiding you, and how to finally release the past and build the future you deserve. This isn't just a summary. This is a transformation. Let's begin. Chapter 1. The mountain is you. There's a strange truth about human nature. We often become our own worst enemies. Not intentionally, not consciously, but quietly, deeply, in ways we don't even recognize. Wiest calls this self-sabotage, and she believes it's the single greatest force holding us back from the lives we want. But here's the paradox. Self-sabotage isn't about self-hatred. It's about self-protection. When we sabotage ourselves, we're not trying to fail. We're trying to survive. We're trying to avoid pain, rejection, or the terrifying feeling of losing control. And so we stay stuck. We numb ourselves. We distract ourselves. We build walls instead of bridges. Think about it. Have you ever been close to achieving something you deeply wanted, only to pull back at the last moment? Maybe you didn't send the email. Maybe you didn't go to the interview. Maybe you picked a fight with someone you loved right when things were going well. That's not weakness. That's fear dressed up as safety. Wiest explains that self-sabotage often comes from irrational fears or beliefs we've carried since childhood. Maybe you grew up believing that money was evil, so now, even as an adult, you unconsciously push financial success away. Maybe you saw your parents' marriage fall apart, so you destroy your own relationships before they can hurt you. These aren't logical thoughts. They're emotional scars, and until we face them, they will keep pulling us back down the mountain. But here's the hope. Rock bottom is not the end. It's the turning point. It's the moment when you realize that you cannot continue living this way, that the pain of staying the same has finally become greater than the pain of change. And that's when transformation begins. Wiest writes that the greatest act of self-love is to refuse to accept a life that makes you unhappy. Not tomorrow, not someday, now, because you are not broken. You are not too damaged. You are simply standing at the base of your mountain, waiting for the courage to take the first step. And that first step, it's acknowledgement. It's looking in the mirror and saying, I am the problem, and I am also the solution. Chapter 2. There's no such thing as self-sabotage. Now, here's where Wiest flips the script. She says something radical. There's no such thing as self-sabotage. At least, not in the way we think. Because when we sabotage ourselves, we're not actually trying to destroy our lives. We're trying to meet a need we don't even know we have. Maybe it's the need to feel safe. Maybe it's the need to feel in control. Maybe it's the need to avoid confronting something painful. But whatever it is, the behavior makes sense. It's not random. It's not evil. It's intelligent. Your subconscious mind is doing exactly what it's designed to do. Protect you. The problem is, it's using outdated strategies. Strategies that once kept you safe as a child, but now keep you small as an adult. Wiest describes self-sabotage as a conflict between two desires. One is conscious, the other is unconscious. You want to succeed, but you also want to avoid failure. You want love, but you also want to protect yourself from heartbreak. You want change, but you also want comfort. And when these two desires clash, the unconscious one almost always wins. So what does self-sabotage actually look like? It shows up in resistance. You resist the very things that would help you grow. It shows up in perfectionism. You set impossible standards, so you never have to actually try. It shows up in chaos. You create drama and disorganization, so you're too distracted to face the real issue. But the most dangerous form of self-sabotage is emotional avoidance. When you refuse to feel your feelings, they don't disappear. They get louder. They demand your attention in more destructive ways. You might eat to numb sadness. You might drink to silence anxiety. You might scroll endlessly to avoid boredom. And before you know it, you've built a life around avoiding yourself. Wiest says the way out is simple, but not easy. You have to take action before you feel ready. You have to move before motivation shows up. Because motivation doesn't come first. Action comes first. And once you start moving, motivation follows. Think about brushing your teeth. You don't wait to feel motivated to do it. You just do it. And the same principle applies to everything else. Want to write a book? Start with one sentence. Want to get fit? Start with one push-up. Want to change your life? Start with one honest conversation with yourself. And here's the truth Wiest wants you to understand. You are not your feelings. You can feel afraid and still act courageously. You can feel unmotivated and still show up. You can feel unworthy and still choose to try. Because your feelings are signals, not sentences. They're information, not identity. The key is to stop judging yourself for having these feelings. Stop calling yourself lazy or broken or weak. Instead, get curious. Ask yourself, what is this behavior trying to protect me from? What need am I trying to meet? And once you know the answer, you can finally give yourself what you actually need. Chapter 3. Your triggers are the guides to your freedom. Here's something most people don't realize. Your triggers are not your enemies. They're your teachers. Every time something makes you angry, jealous, sad, or afraid, it's not a sign that something is wrong with you. It's a sign that something inside you needs attention. Your emotions are messengers, and if you keep ignoring them, they'll keep showing up, louder and louder, until you finally listen. Wiest walks us through some of the most common emotional triggers and what they're trying to tell us. Anger, for example, is not a bad emotion. It's a boundary violation alarm. When you feel angry, it's because something or someone has crossed a line. And instead of lashing out at others, Wiest encourages us to look inward. What boundary did I fail to set? Where did I give my power away? Anger, when used correctly, is a catalyst for change. Sadness is grief emotion. It's the natural response to loss. And the only way through it is to feel it. Fully. Deeply. Without distraction. Because when you repress sadness, it doesn't go away. It festers. It becomes depression. But when you allow yourself to cry, to mourn, to honor what you've lost, you create space for something new to grow. Guilt is your internal moral compass. It tells you when you've acted out of alignment with your values. But here's the catch. Sometimes guilt is a lie. Sometimes it's not your guilt at all. It's guilt that was placed on you by someone else. A parent, a partner, a culture. And learning to distinguish between healthy guilt and toxic guilt is one of the most important things you can do for your peace of mind. Then there's jealousy. Wiest says jealousy is a spotlight. It shows you exactly what you want but haven't given yourself permission to pursue. If you're jealous of someone's success, it's because you want success too. If you're jealous of someone's relationship, it's because you crave that kind of love. So instead of hating them, thank them. They're showing you what's possible. And fear? Fear is the loudest of all. But Wiest makes a crucial distinction. There's instinct and there's fear. Instinct is calm. It's quiet. It's the voice that says, don't walk down that dark alley. Fear is frantic. It's the voice that says, you're going to fail. You're going to be rejected. You're not good enough. And learning to tell the difference between the two is how you reclaim your power. Because here's the truth. Most of your fears are not real. They're projections. They're stories you've told yourself based on past pain. And the only way to break free from them is to face them, to walk toward them, to prove to yourself that you can survive what you're afraid of. Wiest says that true freedom comes when you stop running from your triggers and start running toward them. When you stop seeing your emotions as problems and start seeing them as guides. Because they're not trying to hurt you. They're trying to heal you. Chapter 4. Building Emotional Intelligence. Emotional intelligence is not something you're born with. It's something you build. And according to Wiest, it's the single most important skill you can develop if you want to stop sabotaging yourself. Emotional intelligence is the ability to feel your feelings without being controlled by them. It's the ability to understand why you feel a certain way and choose how to respond. And most importantly, it's the ability to sit with discomfort without running away. But here's the problem. We live in a world that teaches us to avoid discomfort at all costs. We're told to stay busy, stay distracted, stay positive. And so we never learn how to process the hard stuff. We never learn how to sit with sadness, anger, or fear. We just numb it. And then we wonder why we feel so lost. Wiest explains that the brain is wired to resist change, even positive change, because change means uncertainty, and uncertainty feels dangerous. So your brain creates something called homeostasis, a comfort zone where everything feels familiar, even if it's painful. And breaking out of that comfort zone requires you to override your brain's natural resistance. This is why big transformations don't happen overnight. They happen in micro shifts, tiny, almost invisible changes that compound over time. You don't wake up one day and suddenly have a new life. You wake up every day and make one small decision that's slightly better than yesterday's. And over weeks, months, years, those decisions add up. Wiest also talks about something called adjustment shock. This is the discomfort you feel when something good happens. You get the job. You meet the person. You achieve the goal. And instead of feeling happy, you feel anxious. Why? Because your brain doesn't trust good things. It's waiting for the other shoe to drop. And so it creates anxiety to prepare you for disaster. The way to overcome adjustment shock is to normalize the new reality. To remind yourself every day that you are safe, that you deserve this, that nothing has to go wrong. And slowly, over time, your nervous system will relax, the anxiety will fade, and you'll finally be able to enjoy what you've worked so hard for. Another major block to emotional intelligence is what Wiest calls psychic thinking. This is when you assume you know what other people are thinking. You convince yourself that your boss thinks you're incompetent, that your partner is going to leave you, that everyone at the party is judging you. But here's the truth. You have no idea what anyone else is thinking. You're not psychic, and acting as if you are only creates unnecessary suffering. Instead, Wiest encourages us to focus on what we can control, our own thoughts, our own actions, our own responses, because that's where real power lies. Not in predicting the future, not in reading minds, but in showing up fully, honestly, and courageously in the present moment. Chapter 5. Releasing the past. The past doesn't live in the past. It lives in you, in your body, in your nervous system, in the stories you tell yourself about who you are and what you deserve. And until you release it, it will keep replaying over and over in every relationship, every job, every decision you make. Wiest says that letting go is not something you do once. It's something you do 1,000 times. Every day, in small ways, you choose to release the grip of old pain. You choose to stop defining yourself by what happened to you. You choose to stop waiting for an apology that will never come. You choose to move forward, even when it feels impossible. But how do you actually let go? First, you have to grieve. You have to allow yourself to feel the full weight of what you lost. Maybe it was a relationship. Maybe it was a dream. Maybe it was a version of yourself you thought you'd become. And grieving doesn't mean wallowing. It means honoring. It means saying, "This mattered, and it's okay that it's over." Second, you have to rewrite the story. Wiest explains that trauma isn't just what happened to you. It's the story you tell yourself about what happened. And if that story is one of victimhood, shame, or helplessness. It will keep you trapped. But if you can reframe it, if you can say, yes, that was painful, but I survived. I learned. I grew. Then you take back your power. Third, you have to restore safety. Trauma lives in the body as a constant state of alert. Your nervous system is stuck in fight or flight mode, always scanning for danger, even when there is none. And the way to heal that is to prove to your body, over and over again, that you are safe now. Through breath, through movement, through healthy relationships, through environments where you can finally relax. Wiest also talks about the danger of emotional backlog. This is what happens when you spend years pushing your feelings down. They accumulate, they pile up, and eventually they explode. Maybe in a panic attack, maybe in a breakdown, maybe in a physical illness, because the body keeps the score. It remembers what the mind tries to forget. So how do you release this backlog? You feel it. You allow every suppressed emotion to surface. You cry. You scream into a pillow. You write angry letters you'll never send. You move your body until the energy shifts. And little by little, you clear the weight you've been carrying for so long. And here's what Wiest wants you to know. Healing doesn't mean going back to who you were before. It means becoming someone new, someone stronger, someone wiser, someone who no longer needs the past to define them. Chapter 6. Building a new future. Once you've released the past, you're finally free to build a future. But not just any future. A future that aligns with who you truly are, not who you think you should be. Wiest introduces a powerful exercise, meeting your future self. Close your eyes. Imagine yourself 5, 10, 20 years from now. See yourself living the life you've always dreamed of. What do you look like? How do you carry yourself? What do you spend your time doing? And most importantly, what advice does that version of you have for the person you are today? This isn't just visualization, it's clarity, because your future self already knows what you need to do. They've already made the hard choices. They've already faced the fears. And by connecting with them, you give yourself permission to do the same. But building a new future also requires something difficult, letting go of old dreams. Sometimes, the goals we've been chasing for years are no longer aligned with who we are. Maybe you wanted to be a doctor because your parents wanted it for you. Maybe you wanted to live in a certain city because you thought it would make you happy. But deep down, you know it's not your dream anymore. And holding on to it is only holding you back. Wiest says that purpose isn't something you find. It's something you build. It's the intersection of what you're good at, what you love, and what the world needs. And it's not one thing. It's not a single career or relationship or achievement. It's a way of being. It's showing up every day with intention, courage, and authenticity. She asks a powerful question. What are you willing to suffer for? Because everything worth having comes with a cost. If you want to be a writer, you have to be willing to face rejection. If you want to be a leader, you have to be willing to make hard decisions. If you want to be loved, you have to be willing to be vulnerable. So the question isn't what do you want? The question is, what are you willing to endure to get it? Another key to building a new future is learning to validate your own feelings. For so long, you've been waiting for someone else to tell you that you're okay, that you're enough, that you're worthy. But no one else can give you that. You have to give it to yourself. And when you do, everything changes. Wiest also emphasizes the importance of principles. These are the non-negotiable values that guide your life. Maybe it's honesty. Maybe it's kindness. Maybe it's courage. Whatever they are, they become your compass. And when you're faced with a difficult decision, you don't have to guess. You just ask yourself, does this align with my principles? And if it doesn't, you walk away. Finally, Wiest reminds us that the future is not built in one day. It's built in 1,000 small decisions. Every time you choose to honor yourself instead of betraying yourself, you're building your future. Every time you choose growth over comfort, you're building your future. And over time, those choices add up to a life you're proud of. Chapter 7. From self-sabotage to self-mastery. This is it, the final climb. The moment when you realize that everything you've been through, every mistake, every failure, every moment of pain, was not a detour. It was the path. And the mountain you've been climbing was never meant to defeat you. It was meant to transform you. Wiest says that self-mastery is not about perfection. It's about presence. It's about being fully, unapologetically yourself in every moment. It's about no longer running from your emotions, your fears, or your truth. It's about standing in the fullness of who you are and saying, "This is me, and I am enough." But self-mastery also requires something that most people avoid: control. Not controlling others, not controlling outcomes, but controlling yourself, your thoughts, your reactions, your energy. And there's a big difference between controlling your emotions and suppressing them. Suppression is unconscious. It's pushing feelings down and pretending they don't exist. Control is conscious. It's feeling the emotion, acknowledging it, and then choosing how to respond. It's saying, "I'm angry, but I'm not going to lash out. I'm sad, but I'm not going to shut down. I'm afraid, but I'm not going to run." This is what Buddhism calls non-attachment. It's observing your thoughts without being consumed by them. It's realizing that you are not your emotions. You are the space in which emotions occur. And when you understand that, you become unshakable. Wiest also talks about inner peace. And she makes it clear, inner peace is not happiness. Happiness is fleeting. It depends on circumstances. But peace is a state of being. It's the deep knowing that no matter what happens, you will be okay. And that peace is always available to you. You just have to choose it. But here's the paradox. Finding peace requires you to stop avoiding pain. Because pain is not the enemy. Avoidance is. When you run from pain, it chases you. But when you turn around and face it, when you walk straight into it, you realize it's not as scary as you thought. And on the other side of that pain is freedom. Wiest also addresses mental strength. And she's clear. Mental strength is not about never feeling weak. It's about feeling weak and still showing up. It's about having a plan. It's about asking for help. It's about taking responsibility for your life instead of blaming others. And it's about honoring your triggers, your discomfort, and your doubts as signals that you're growing. She offers practical wisdom. Get a plan, because plans fix problems. Humble yourself, because most people aren't thinking about you as much as you think. Ask for help, because you're not supposed to know everything. Stop trying to predict the future based on your feelings. Take responsibility for your outcomes. All of them. Learn to process complex emotions instead of numbing them. Talk it out. Things are always more complicated in your head. Take your time. You don't need to figure everything out right now. And finally, Wiest leaves us with this. True enjoyment of life comes when you stop chasing happiness and start embracing presence. When you stop trying to control everything and start trusting the process. When you lean into the little joys. When you nurture the relationships that matter. When you see challenges as opportunities for growth. And when you finally realize that the mountain was never something to conquer. It was something to become. So here we are, at the summit. And from here, you can finally see the truth. The mountain was never the obstacle. It was the gift. Every struggle you faced taught you something. Every moment of pain shaped you into someone stronger. Every time you wanted to give up, but didn't, you proved to yourself that you are capable of more than you ever imagined. And now, standing here, you realize that you were never climbing away from yourself. You were climbing toward yourself. Brianna Wiest wrote this book not to give you answers, but to remind you that the answers are already inside you. You've always known what you needed to do. You just needed permission to do it. And this book is that permission. So what happens now? You take what you've learned, and you live it. You stop sabotaging yourself, and start showing up for yourself. You stop running from your emotions, and start listening to them. You stop clinging to the past, and start building your future. And you stop waiting for the right moment, because the right moment is now. This is your life, your mountain, your journey, and no one else can climb it for you. But you don't have to climb it alone, because every step you take inspires someone else to take theirs. Every time you choose courage over fear, you give others permission to do the same. And that's how we heal, not just ourselves, but the world. Thank you for spending this time with me. If you enjoyed this story, subscribe to the Book Sanctuary and let the world of words inspire your soul. Until next time, keep climbing, keep growing, and remember, the mountain is you, and you are unstoppable.